Don't be a stepdad. It's an interesting topic, conversation that's been going along. How can you really put that in a biblical sense? I wonder. Hmm. I guess you could say Joseph. Joseph was Jesus' stepdad. I don't know. All right, let's not get it. Anyways, let's just go right into the video. Let's just go right into the video. All right, let me stop with all this nonsense. So we got this video here. A guy's giving out his information, his experience of being a stepdad. I have my own two steps, not being a stepdad, exactly, but being, I guess, a father substitute, parent substitute, temporarily. So let's go ahead and get right into it and see what he has to say. Give my 2 cents. And if you guys like this type of videos, join in the conversation, like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Let's just go ahead and get right into it.
Probably going to be surprising to a lot of y'all coming from me. I've been a stepdad. I was a stepdad for about 10 years. Okay.
10 years.
When I came in the young man's life, he was a little over a year old. So he was young. It was easy to fall in love with him. An amazing kid. He's probably one of the greatest experiences that I've ever had in my life. But why do I agree with what people say? If you become a stepdad, you're a fool. Okay? And the only reason women are disagreeing is because they want men to be fools. You have absolutely no control in that young man's life or woman's life. And you take the place of the father. Literally. There's no comparison to somebody that lives in the house versus somebody who doesn't. I don't care if they love their dad to death. You're the one that's cultivating them. Okay? When he hurts himself, you pick him up. When it's time to be a man, you tell him how to move forward. In the proudest moments, you're there because you create the timelines to pick him up, where he's going, all these things. And in my situation, I controlled everything in the young man's life. I took control at a year old, okay? I was his coach. I was his teacher. I was everything. I picked him up from school. Even though I worked all the way in Houston and we lived in Beaumont at the time, I picked him up from school, okay? And then one day, he's out of your life. And the woman tells you, you don't need to see my son. Okay? It's not about the hurt and the pain, what it's really about, because that's been over a long time. It's about you investing so much in somebody. And a woman's bitterness alleviates that in a moment. And there's no judge that can change that because you're not his father. The greatest pain of it is the child. And I truly believe that my former stepson still suffers from what happened. And I had nothing to do with it. And I couldn't do anything about it. Couldn't do anything about it. And that's the worst part. Because the kid will have trauma that he shouldn't have had. Yeah. That's the worst part. Yeah, that's the worst part.
So it's, yeah, I agree. I can't imagine. He's pretty much doubled the time and effort of the situation that I and the heartache of what I've experienced. And that's crazy. I am going to do, my due diligence and remain unbiased in the situation. I definitely hear, his side of the story. He didn't get into details as to why he's not why they're not married or why they ended up getting separated. Um I will say that it takes two to tango. So not putting fault on him, but without hearing her side, I can't just sit here and fully agree that, she was in the wrong. It probably was something crazy, but I can't just sit here and be like, yeah, homie's 100% in the right and she was jacked up and just getting up and leaving. I don't know what happened. Excuse me. It could have been something serious that made her leave. 10 years is a long time. 10 years is a long time for a woman to just get up and leave. But I'm giving grace to a race of people that has shown there is no depths to how crazy and ridiculous they could be with certain situations. So I just don't know. That's just I'm just throwing that out there. Uh, the only reason I can understand slightly of how he's feeling is because of if you guys don't know, I did a whole series somewhere in the backlogs. I did a whole series, and I'll post it. I'll put it at the end of it'll be the next video. I'll start the series in regards to the situation that I had, where I became a foster parent by proxy. My wife's parents were foster parents, and in order to help them out while we were living with them, we became foster parents as well. And with the last group of kids that we got, one of them was the 4-month-old boy. Had him for 4 years. For 4 years, raised that. Mind you, I had not been a parent of my own child at that time yet. My daughter didn't come till 2 years after. So, oh Lord. So so 4 years of exactly what he's saying, raising him up. If he falls, who's taking care of him? The constant trips to the emergency room with his constant health issues and conditions that he had, um, situations that could have cost him his life, the struggles of dealing with the social services and not providing them the proper care that he needed, and having to watch him struggle just to sleep at night. All these things, giving him laughter, raising him up, teaching him, helping him learn certain stuff. Homie knows more dinosaur names by the age of 4 than probably some middle schoolers do at this point. Instilling in him the word, and then having my first biological daughter, and him building a relationship, even though he had siblings. It's a whole tragic situation, but all that, building a relationship with my daughter, both my daughters, to then be just taken away. And what's crazy is, after the first set of foster kids that they had coming in, that has been there for a while, even before we got married, that I grew somewhat attached to, I told myself that I was not going to get attached to these kids absolutely no more, because the first time was tough. And then he came along, and my goodness, when it comes to the feeling of being a father to a son, I was given that prematurely, almost to the point where I there's still a piece of me that wishes that I didn't. And that's honestly probably because of the fact that there was no closure. We went to the courtroom. I saw him and his siblings while they were acting out, and then they took them away to a separate room. After we finished through court, court was like, yep, we're sending them back to the mom with all the ridiculousness that was happening literally within the last couple months. We're sending the kids back to their mom. And then that was it. We had to leave. Couldn't say goodbye, couldn't see them, nothing. So that last moment I saw him with him walking inside the office with his siblings and closing the door, that's the last visual image that I have of him with my eyes. And that's the last image that he has of me and my wife. And the only thing that constantly aches at me the most is the trauma that he's going to feel. Because 4 months, that's all a child knows. You're taking away all that a child knows to be in an environment that he, or one, doesn't even like going to, and two, is afraid of based off of the situation that we had. So now, as each day progresses and every time he comes to mind, it's like the only thing I could do is just pray to God that every bad thing that I can think of is not happening, that I'm wrong. The few times where I am wrong about stuff like this, I pray that I am 1,000% wrong, and that the mother got her stuff together. The siblings stop acting out; they're doing better, and that he's living, that he's thriving, and that he's being the smart genius that I know that he is, and playing soccer so well, because that little bum is fast as heck. But the thing that pains the most is the trauma that I know that he felt on that day. Everything that he knew, gone. Everything that he knew. 4 months we had him. And collectively, of those 4 years, 4 months is when we got him. And collectively, of those 4 years, he's probably been with his mother collectively not even a month. Not even a month. So to sit here and imagine this is somebody that you married, or at least that's my assumption, is that he married this woman, which may not even have been the case, because you don't just up and leave, which honestly seems like if this is the case, which honestly seems like an issue as to why we hold heavy with this idea of marriage. You don't just be with somebody for a certain amount of time and you don't commit yourself to them, because stuff like this can happen. Take the faith out of it. Why would we do such a thing? You know what I'm saying? That's the vibes that it gives me, is that they weren't married. They were just together, and he was just there to, be the dad. He was just there to be the dad. Because to up and leave like that that can't happen unless you had absolutely zero rights to him. And the divorce was quick and swift, which could have been the case. But anyways, moving on. We need men out here for these young boys, but not like this. Not like this. Because this is going to cause more trauma than it does any type of good. I can't imagine the young boy, how he's going to look at his life moving forward, how he's going to view things moving forward. I hope they still have a relationship. I don't recall if he said they have a relationship, but this is traumatizing, y'all. And I feel his pain. I can only feel half his pain, because like I said, my situation was by the government, and it was only for 4 going on to 5 years. His was with somebody, if they were married, who was supposed to be his forever, and it was for 10 years. So sucks, man. It sucks. It really does. But you live and you learn. This is what I know. I mean, this is the scary part of life, that if you're in these type of scenarios where you're looking at being somebody, or sorry, my English, where you're looking at being with somebody, but they have this type of scenario, it's a scary thought, especially as a father to a son. That right there is a whole, especially if he's a good father, that's a whole completely different purpose in life that man now has. Taking that away from him is diabolical. But again, I don't know the situations. I can't hear from the mother side of you, so I always got to leave that into perspective. That it must have been something serious that caused this, in hopes that it was something serious that caused this, and it wasn't just a matter of I don't know. She found somebody that had more money, or he wasn't doing the stuff that she wanted him to do, type thing, and not really upholding her end of the bargain when it comes to marriage, as to being the helper for him, or whatever the case may be. So that's the hope, guys. Interesting take nonetheless. Yeah, yeah, let me know in the comment section what y'all think. I'm gonna catch y'all next one. Take it easy. Peace.